Welcome to Mighty Married Moms. Join us at our kitchen table twice a week as the Mighty Married Moms, Debbie,
Linda,
Wendy,
invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy.
building marriages with soul-satisfying connection, raising happy, healthy, successful kids. Conversations with Mighty Married Moms will bring you closer to the life you really want. Episode 110. Hi, this is Wendy Williams, and marriage happiness is way possible. ConnectAgain.org is very happy to sponsor Mighty Married Moms. We are partners in bringing you closer to the life you really want. Visit us today for marriage boosts at ConnectAgain.org. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mighty Married Moms, another episode that's going to bring you closer to the life you really want. My name is Wendy Williams. I'm from ConnectAgain.org.
I'm Linda Tighe from All Well Breaks Loose.
And Debbie Owen from YouCanRaiseGreatKids.com.
And this morning we are so excited. We're very privileged to have a wonderful guest with us today, Kathy Elkind. She's from ElkindNourishment.com. And Kathy is a eating psychology coach. And that happened in 2013 when she was trained with Mark David, the founder of the Institute for Psychology of Eating. Her love of gardening, connection to the earth and its seasonal rhythms, and desire to cook with healthier foods led her to the Nourishment Cleanse. She trained with Halle Sophia Schatz, author of The Buddha Came to Dinner, and has been teaching nourishment cleanses for 6 years. Kathy's also taught cooking and nutritional classes for the Growing Places Garden Project. Kathy is a teacher trainee in mindful self-compassion. She trained with Kristen Neff and Christopher Gerner. In her earlier years, she managed a bakery and was an elementary school teacher. Kathy now lives with her husband and a constantly varying number of chickens, and her two children have actually flown and taken off. So Kathy, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so pleased to have you. You and I have a personal connection, and I'm really glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Great.
Yes, we're all very excited to talk to you today.
Elementary school teacher to eating psychology coach. Interesting travel. Can you give us a minute on how that happened?
Oh, just a minute.
Well,
Yeah.
I actually have dyslexia, and so reading was very hard for me, and I struggled in school and there was a lot of shame. So as I was growing up, I used food to numb myself from some of those hurt feelings.
Yeah.
And I eventually became a teacher because I wanted to help other struggling kids, students, especially in reading. So I taught second grade.
Great.
And then I really still needed to work on food for myself, my own issues. And that's why I became an eating psychology coach. And I learned that I need to be kind to myself, thus Elkind Nourishment, and kind to myself and give myself self-compassion for those hard emotions that I was feeling, and so that I have overcome overeating. And now I help other women overcome overeating or binge eating.
Wow.
I love that.
That is really,
That's
and
the
so
short
I can
version.
see that ties into this mindfulness.
Yes,
Say
exactly.
a little bit about that before we continue on. How does that, there's an obvious equal sign there, but
Yeah. Well, most of overeating and binge eating or eating challenges, trying to be the best, the perfectionism, the perfect food, all of that, the way to heal it, I believe, is through self-compassion and honoring that you're actually suffering in this moment and taking a breath and giving ourselves, this is hard, I am human. And that's the foundation of it, being the mindfulness and knowing when you're reaching for the cookies or whatever food that you go to. For me, it was chocolate chip cookies. Realize, pausing and saying, what is it that I'm trying to stuff down? What emotion am I really need to feel? And it's not easy. It's not a quick fix. There's hundreds of other quick fixes that really don't work, but the long process of meeting our emotions and being with them and feeling them and then letting them drop away. And
It's so interesting. This is such a great topic, because we eat to survive. We eat in order to replenish our cells from our brain cells to our liver cells to our skin cells to our hair cells. And yet eating has taken on so much baggage. And I don't know if it's been like that historically, if people have always kind of allowed eating to be a way to deal with their issues, or if that's really kind of a contemporary phenomenon. I'm not sure, but it's just kind of interesting how that has happened, and how important it is to let go of that baggage. And I like what you're saying. This is great stuff.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, actually, when a baby cries, the first thing it does, if mother gives it the breast or the father gives it the bottle, parents. So love, food, and connection are intertwined from day one. But in the 200 years ago, we didn't have all the packaged food that we have nowadays. And life has changed a lot. When you think about it, an animal knows exactly, an animal out grazing knows exactly how much to eat and knows when to stop, and it can trust its body.
Right.
It's just part of its life. We have, first of all, again, all of the amazing packaged foods and the big industry trying to sell us those foods. And then we have the culture of women pushed to be thin, and thin is beautiful. And then we also, which is a huge industry, and then we have the counter industry of the diet industry. It's something like a $7 billion yearly industry of, and they don't want us to figure it out. Otherwise, they'd be out of business.
True.
Exactly.
So, it's kind of a radical act to stand up and say, forget all of that. I'm going to trust my body, which, again, is not an easy thing to do. And it takes courage, but it can be done. And then let's go back. There's also, we as women, especially, but men too, but when you think about all the holiday traditions, we've got a bunch coming up, and we have to cook and prepare for all of those. Right. Celebratory birthdays. Food is so intertwined in our life all day long. Most people are eating at least 5 different times a day, and then women are the ones many times who are doing the shopping, either from the grocery store or the CSA, or finding the best quality food that they can for their families to nourish us and to bring us healthy. So as an eating psychology coach, we talk about it's all about the food and it's not about the food. So it's all about the food. We do, you want to eat the healthiest food, but again, you have to be careful not to put life into perspective.
Right.
And then it's also, again, many people use food to numb themselves and soothe themselves. And it's fine. That's actually a natural thing to do. We talked about from birth, you use food to, numb and soothe yourself a little bit emotionally. That's fine, as long as it's not getting to be so much that it's hurting your body or getting in the way of your life or taking up so much brain space. Yeah. Like, when am I going to get that next cookie, or I got to stop at CVS, or that.
Or conversely, I've got to stop eating this. Yeah. I shouldn't eat that. It's that constant berating of yourself. Gee, am I talking from experience?
I know. Knowing you as I do, that experience. Right. Of course. Me too, of course.
Absolutely. There was a time in my life when I would eat a Snickers bar every day. Why? Yeah. I don't know. But I also know now, and I'm sure you do too, the research is pretty clear. If you look at the brain on cocaine and the brain with sugar, same places of your brain are being activated. So clearly it's addiction that we didn't ask for, that we weren't aware when we were doing it, but it's now there, and now you have to deal with it, and you put the emotional piece in it as well. Yeah. And raising kids, right, and certainly being in the school system, I'm sure every celebration of any kind, whether it's a sports celebration, academic, whatever it is, there's always food. And even in the schools, there's soda, there's cookies. It's not like the celebration is with vegetables and dip and, like, it's always something that we really shouldn't be eating. So we just think those are what we call them treats.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's so much packed in there.
Yeah. And one of the things that I have people do is you're gonna eat it, so enjoy it. tap into the pleasure. If you're going to have that cookie, really enjoy it. Break it into pieces. Take a deep breath before it. Because if you don't want that critical mind, I shouldn't be eating this, I shouldn't be eating that, because then you're tapping into the stress response and then your body is flooded with cortisol, which actually it's a hormone that has you gaining weight. So when you can take a deep breath and just really enjoy the pleasure and the people around you that you're enjoying this cookie or whatever it is in the celebratory time. But I also think that we as women and moms can begin to change culture and maybe change up the pasta spaghetti dinner, in front of sports, and serve something different.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at an event last night. There's a weekly book study that I'm a part of at my church, and I helped to facilitate it. And one of the women of the church said, I went to that book study. It had a big impact on my life, and I would like to make that. We typically order out the head of the organization orders out. We have a salad and a pizza or lasagna or something like that. But this woman said, I would really like to I'd like to make dinner for everybody. So she made ham, baked beans, cornbread, and a big box of chocolate chip cookies. And I know this woman. This is not how she eats. It really isn't. But it's like, I want to make you guys feel good. It was like, okay, did you, is there a fruit cup on your agenda? It's just so interesting. Like, it's just so endemic in our society, this drive toward these processed carbohydrates.
Can you talk about that a little bit, Kathy? Can you talk about comfort food? Where does that come from? And what can we do to handle that and deal with that?
Fight it or
not feel
or
comforted
embrace
anymore.
it. That self-compassion thing makes me think I'm going to embrace it, but I don't want to embrace my chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
I really don't. So I'm fighting in my head listening to you in a little bit.
Okay. Well, one of the things is to really tap into yourself and breathe and see, what is it that I really want? What am I drawn to? Do I really want that chocolate chip cookie or don't I? And then if you decide, say you want the chocolate chip cookie and you eat it, pay attention to how you feel a half an hour later or an hour later. How, are you feeling sluggish? Do you get that little bit of high from the sugar and then a drop down and want more? Mm-hmm. And so again, it takes time, but we're wise women, and we know how food is going to make us feel, and so then we can tap into, okay, what will truly nourish me in this time? And it takes practice. And again, it's okay. You can make a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, and that's how you learn. Again, this perfectionism thing of having to do it just perfectly does not help. Mm-hmm. So picking, maybe it's not going to be a perfect salad. That's, maybe that's what you'd really like to have at that time. But maybe it's half a sweet potato with a little bit of whole milk yogurt on top or something like that. Maybe it's some nuts and an apple, peanut butter and an apple. We have to balance what's easy in our lifestyles when we're moving around. And what I work with women on over and over again is being prepared to spending the time, picking one day a week to prepare as much food as you can at home and snacks at home, sliced up food in the drawer, and picks foods that really do nourish you. And sometimes maybe, again, it will be the chocolate chip cookie, or maybe it'll be a piece of chocolate and not the other part that comes with it, not the sugar and the white flour, but a piece of good chocolate. And again, eating it slowly and breathing. And
yeah, you mentioned that loop of, or that happens over and over again with women. What does a typical session with a eating psychology coach look like? What can somebody expect? And would you work with people over the phone, Kathy, or only in your home office?
Both. I work over the phone, and so long distance people all over the country, and then in person at my office.
Great. So what would a session look like or sound like?
So a session, especially the first two, I really like to get sort of their food history and their relationship to their body history. We do write up I take a lot of notes on the timeline to see what was going on when. Was there a time when you were happy with your body? Was there a time when you were happy with what you were eating and life flowed, and what was going on at those times? And maybe what's happening when you were overeating or binge eating? What set that off? Or you gained, weight, 10, 20, 30 pounds. What's going on in your life? And let's look at those events that happened in your life, and emotions around those events.
So once the intake is done, what is the kind of path out with a guide like you?
Again, it's all individual, but it's really, for some women, it's something that happened a long time ago. Again, for myself, the shame and dyslexia, but sometimes it can be shame from sexual abuse or just emotional abuse in childhood. And sometimes my clients also do work with therapists at the same time, and we work well together. But some people have also gone through therapy for years and years and years, and now they want a coach to, let's move on from the therapy. And so what we do, we practice self-compassion and noticing those times that's connected sometimes to the older.
Practicing.
Practicing over and over again. And what I'm doing here is, I don't know if you've been noticing, I've been putting my hands on my chest, and that's the sign of self-compassion. And when I put my hands on the warmth of my hands and the pressure, and I tone my voice down into, instead of being critical, it's like, oh, Kathy, you're suffering right now. This is hard. This is really hard for me. Again, sometimes having to write can still be a little bit hard, and the anxiety, and I go, oh, this is hard. And the pressure.
We are tough.
Yeah, we are tough on ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
The pressure and the warmth and the soft tone, that taps into our mammalian hormones, which relax us. So we can be in a relaxed phase. And that's also when we make, and everybody has oxytocin, not just women, but men have oxytocin too. And that's also when we make better decisions for our higher self. I like to think about it as our higher self, and not just in the moment. We can sort of make a bigger picture when we've dealt with the emotion that we're feeling right now.
I like that.
It does feel good when you do that. It feels very comforting. There's something very loving, giving yourself a loving embrace.
I like that.
And I, what do you think about, do you talk to people about trusting your body, and your body wants to help you out, and your body wants to be where you want to be? It's not, your body's not the enemy. It's not, because you hear women say it all the time. Oh, I could eat anything and I gain, and Debbie over here, she just never gains, right? And like, what's wrong with my body and not with hers, right? So you hear women saying it all the time, like it's their body's fault, like their body has a defect.
Yeah, and it's out to get them.
Yeah. No, it's exactly. It's trusting your body and trusting your own emotion, beginning to trust your emotions again, which takes time. And again, it's individual with each person, but beginning to love your body the way it is. We actually need to accept our body the way it is before it can actually, sometimes those pounds that are clinging to us are there for a reason, are protecting ourselves. And one other thing that we like to do. So what is it that when you lose those 10 pounds, how are you going to be different? Are you going to be more confident and stuff? Well, let's start acting more confident right now. Let's find clothes that fit our body right now. And let's be beautiful in our bodies right now. And let's be feminine in our bodies right now. Let's tap into our feminine. Let's be sexual in our bodies right now. And once that happens, and let's act as if we love the body that we're in, and little by little we begin to love our body. And actually that's when, again, that taps into the relaxation response, and then weight can begin to drop off. Many of my clients, they actually don't lose the weight when they're with me, but they lose it 6 months later or a year later.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't lose all of that weight that they want to lose, but they accept their body. Women, and then there's the whole the menopause part of life.
Let's not talk about that.
Transition, yeah, but it's a lovely time. It can be a lovely time, and it's definitely the time to find self-compassion if you haven't found it already.
True.
Definitely. Well, this makes so much more sense to me, the direction that you're taking with people, because I think diets are temporary. Diets only address food. Diets often set limitations, and more of the blame, more of the, as Wendy was saying earlier, I can't, I shouldn't, and so I think it just sets a bad precedent, and maybe you lose 10, 20 pounds, but there's no wonder why people gain the weight right back.
Exactly.
Because they haven't changed their mindset, and they haven't loved themselves and loved their bodies, and doing something that will make lasting changes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
One thing that you said that I can't get out of my mind and I can't wait to spit it out is the word that you're associating with coaching is practice. And for me, as a marriage and relationship coach, that just really resonates with me, that's what we're trying to do with our coaching. It's not just forward thinking and making a plan, but it's actually practicing with somebody that we can flub up with, have accountability to, that's really embedded in the process of a coach, which is a very different thing, I think, from counseling and therapy, which is review. How does my belly button look today? That's how I kind of unpack a little bit the difference. And whereas coaching is like we're making a vision of our better selves, our more healthy selves, our more whole selves, and let's drive us there. But I really like the notion of practice that you bring into that. And that like you said, they practice with you, and then the weight falls off some other time as they become more of the women or men that they want to be, and they've practiced with you, and now they're taking it on the road and going it on their own way. And look, here's the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I give a lot of homework. Well, not a lot of homework, but I think the wonderful thing about working with a coach is, you can find I'm very intuitive, and I can hear where the person is stressed or needs some healing, and we'll work on that and give them, I give them like little things to step into their courage along that week, and practice the self-compassion at those times. And then they come back the next week and they either say, well, I totally messed up, and we give them self-compassion for trying, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a process.
Kathy, let me ask you, what's one of the best tips that you can provide for women who are struggling with an eating challenge? I mean, we like to give our viewers and listeners one or two or three really solid things that they can take home and work on today. What's a tip you could share with us?
All right. It sounds simple, and it is simple, but it's not that simple. Is slowing down when you eat, slowing down and bringing out. And I'm not talking about chewing each bite, 100 times. Yeah. I'm talking about, which used to be, I remember being told that eat each like 100 times. Sure. I'm talking about just taking 3 simple breaths before you even pick up your fork. And that's also, you're telling your body, oh, I'm just about to eat. Let's start some of the digestive processes. And again, I say it over and over again, the breathing taps you into the relaxation phase and gets your digestive system ready to digest the food that you're going to eat. And you can eat it mindfully, but eat it mindfully, again, not like, I can taste it. You pay attention to the textures and things like that, but just relax around it. Enjoy the people you may be eating with. Or if you're eating alone, which sometimes, women are eating alone, enjoy the food, and just, it's a chance to almost do some meditation. And again, it doesn't have to be this amazing meditation. It's just relaxing around the food that you're eating, and we're not shoveling it in our faces as quickly as possible. On to the next.
You've been known to do that once or twice.
Yeah. You're eating the food that's in front of you rather than thinking, I got to go do this, I got to do that. Eating while I'm thinking, like it's just, I'm double tasking. If we can just kind of sit and just eat and go, I really love my own spaghetti sauce. My mother created, whatever, just really with that.
With the food. With
I
the food.
went to a seminar, and one of the things that she had us do, which I thought was really interesting, was just to put your fork down after every bite.
In between,
And don't pick it back up until you finish that bite. And then just the process of doing that was very different. It was really like, I really paid attention much more to my plate. I really did. It was really one simple.
The other thing you can do is try using your left hand to eat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just even a couple of bites. It just shows you to slow down. You have to really think about it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So your non-dominant hand, that's a really good idea too.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And I just have one quick question. The late afternoons, they're a killer for me. What can I do that isn't damaging? Listen to me. I'm so full of self-loathing. But anyway, what's the late afternoon tip?
There's a couple of things. First of all, make sure that you're eating enough breakfast and lunch, and that there's protein and some good fats in your breakfast and lunch, and a good hearty breakfast and lunch. And then I hear this over and over again that 4 and 5 o'clock is when people really want to eat.
That's when I want to eat dinner.
So
there must be something about the body that needs something, the circadian rhythm or something. But anyway, you're the expert.
So, some people you can actually maybe sit down and eat at 5 o'clock, and then if your husband comes in later, you can eat salad with him later. Whatever. That's one possibility. Another possibility is make sure you have fruits and nuts. Make sure, again, it's the being prepared, having the foods, and having it okay to eat at that time. That's when people are hungry. Honor your hunger. That is when you're hungry. Honor your hunger, and then maybe have a little bit of a lighter dinner later. Try it for a week and see how you feel.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a really good idea.
Because the other thing is, if you start eating and you're thinking, I shouldn't be eating because I know it's going to be dinner, and again, you're beating yourself up, and then you say, well, forget it. I'm just going to, eat all these cookies or eat all these chips or whatever, and I'm just going to keep going because I'm hungry and blah, blah, blah. And then it sets you up for binging and, beating yourself up. And then the shame that comes after overeating. And so I'm just going to have a big dinner, and I've already blown it for the day, and I'm going to have dessert, and it can go on and on.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Forget about it.
Right.
So take care of yourself by making sure you have the snacks and making it be okay because you are hungry. Again, make sure it really is true hunger. Sometimes that 4 or 5 o'clock is being very tired, and
you're trying to get yourself
Or
revived.
dehydrated sometimes too.
Dehydrated.
Drinking
Exactly.
water can cure that too.
Maybe a 15-minute walk or 5 minutes of jump rope. I mean, you can brainstorm all.
I should be mixing up the signals. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, a lot of times, again, when our body is in distress and we think it needs food, but it's not the food. Again, so there's bringing the mindfulness to what I truly need at this.
That makes great sense. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Kathy, we are out of time.
Yeah, this was great.
So wonderful.
Thank you.
This really has been very nourishing time. I don't mean to be too funny. I mean it. It's really, it's really tapped into a lot of things. It means something to me personally, resonates. But I think, I can just feel the arms of women all over listening and locking arms going, yep, we're in this together.
Yeah.
We know what this is. Yeah. And men too, I'm sure. But I don't know. This just seems to be a special self-flagellation that happens with us women around eating and food. Yeah. That the culture kind of supports. So. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And what we would love to have our listeners and viewers know where they can find you, any interesting projects coming up, anything that people all over the world can take advantage of rather than just people local to where you are. Tell us.
Yes, well, it's Elkind Nourishment, and my last name is Elkind, married an Elkind, so it's kind of interesting. Kind Nourishment.
Make sure that people know if they're not watching.
It's ELKIND nourishment.com.
Perfect.
And you can to email me. It's Kathy with a K at elkindnourishment.com. And I work one-on-one. sometimes you just need a couple of sessions with me. Some people work longer with me. I have, starting January 5th, I'm not sure when this is going to be aired, but January 5th, I have a mindfulness and self-compassion class, 8-week class coming up. That's in person at my home office in Harvard, Mass. But again, I do work over the phone. And you can sign up for my newsletter. I only send it out once a month because I don't want to fill people's boxes. But I have other projects coming up in the springtime.
Excellent.
That's awesome. Great. Well,
Great.
thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. And
Yes.
you know, something I feel is an untapped reservoir, maybe you have it on blogs or something or in your newsletter, is we're coming up to what I call the trifecta: Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. The holidays, food, women, you know, so that would be great if there's something on your blog that talks in general about holidays, whenever this airs, whenever, you know, all the holidays have a bit fraught.
I talk about bringing the pleasure to the food and the pleasure to the people too. Sometimes we pay so much attention to the food that we don't realize, you know, and sometimes the people in the holidays can be hard to deal with too. But acknowledging that.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
Good.
Oh, well, thank you so
Thank you
very
so
much. We
much.
really appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And everyone, this is Mighty Married Moms, and we would really love it if you would share this podcast with your friends and family. We know that we bring a lot of really wonderful people to your screens and to your earbuds, and we would love it if you would give us a positive rating on iTunes and share this with anybody and everybody. Again, my name is Wendy Williams from connectagain.org.
Linda Tighe from allwellmarriedsleuth.com.
And Debbie Owen from youcanraisegreatkids.com.
And we are from mightymarriedmoms.com. All the best, everyone.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
day.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Mighty Married Moms. Tune in twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to meet fascinating and inspiring guests who will help you create the life you've always wanted.
You can find these episodes and special gifts just for you at mightymarriedmoms.com, as well as a link to our Facebook community,
where we continue the conversation around the kitchen table. Please also help share the love by leaving a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.